The reality of this level of a conversion in a JK is that it can be pretty temperamental. In the summer times out in Arizona, it gets to 110, 115, sometimes 120, and it's not that fun to drive just because the engine's running warmer, the cooling system for the supercharger is running warmer, intake temps are up there. It's just one of those things where you have to come to the reality that it's more or less a cooler weather car, similar to owning a hot rod or a high horsepower modern muscle car. It's just, you're gonna reach limitations, especially when you're putting that much power into a chassis that came originally with a V6. It's just, you can only fit so much packaging and cooling into a grill with 7 slots. So before I would take apart the front end and rework the grill and design a one-off custom radiator, I really just built this to push the limits of the parts that I'm gonna use on swaps for my regular customers who are getting LS3 strokers or 427s or even standard 6.2 liters. But it is a lot of fun. There are sometimes when it's cold out, it doesn't like to idle very well until it's warmed up, just because it is the way it is. But for the most part, I drive it back and forth in cooler weather to work. I mean, granted, it only gets 90 to 100 miles to a tank on a 20-gallon tank, because it's probably usually getting 4 or 5 miles to the gallon. But it is a lot of fun to drive. It's just, if you're going on a long trail, you're carrying gas cans. There's not a lot of real estate to put a larger fuel tank in at this point. If I were to go further with this, I'd probably build a 4-door chassis just because of the amount of real estate. If there's anything I've learned building these converted Jeeps is packaging. But you really start running out of a lot of room when you start adding accessories. Generally, once the motor and tranny's out for the V8 conversion, we build the exhaust system around where the motor and trans ends up sitting. They don't all send up exact same way, considering that suspensions on the vehicles that come to me vary: long arms, short arms, custom built one-off ones. So each exhaust system we typically do is specific to each car, depending on what the customer wants, how loud it needs to be, and you just start to realize as everything starts to go back in that you're working in tight spaces. The engine oil cooler package, the tranny cooler package, power steering coolers, intercoolers for superchargers, air compressors, lines for lockers, lines for the ABS system, wheel speed sensors, brake lines, all that stuff. Nothing usually gets overlooked, so it's all rerouted to stay away from heat, exhaust systems, and generally just look like it was meant to be there. All of our swaps are generally gone through with a generic once-over to make sure that there's any questionable work that's been performed before is going to be redone by us, so that when it leaves our shop, it looks like it was done there from the beginning. And that just saves the customer time in case there's any issues down the road that we didn't catch or they didn't notify us about. That way we know the Jeep on inside and out. But we've ended up with cooling packages that work quite well, even out here in Arizona when it's 100 degrees. Our radiator will keep a stroker LS3 right around 210 to 215, maybe 220 if you're really hard on it. But that took quite a while to get there. But mine being supercharged just kind of compounds that heat equation. And like I said, it's just a little more temperamental when it's that hot outside. But I feel like that we've done our best with bringing people the ability to have a little bit more than a standard V8 swap. I feel like each one of our swaps is custom tailored to what the customer's looking for and really what suits their end goal for the vehicle. We've done pretty tame, just cammed LS3s to obviously my 427 supercharged. But it seems to be that the LS3 stroker is probably the sweet spot for the swap for people looking for above average power levels and still have nice street manners. That works out quite well for us, and that seems to be a favorite. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, even if you have existing swaps. I have customers contact me all the time that aren't happy with certain aspects of their engine conversions. And really, I've been in their same shoes. I've been a now shop owner and a customer, and I know what it's like to kind of feel like it's just not what you expected at the end. And generally, I love answering questions for people. That way they can better understand what's going on with their vehicle, and if I can help them with any way of getting their vehicle the last mile of completion. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, reach out on social media, or even on this channel.